So our objective tonight is to provide a level of understanding regarding the district's 2024 capital project scope for the community and district stakeholders in which you have an opportunity to vote on. So I really want to talk about the process. How did we get here? So originally how we got here is every 5 years, New York State Education Department requires a building condition survey. And so we had our architects come through, Gordon Jones Associates came through our buildings and did a building condition survey. Within that, Mr. Barber, myself, Mrs. Matuszak sat down and went through that building condition survey with Mr. Barber because he has great knowledge in regards to the preventive maintenance that we've been able to do. So they articulated in that BCS that your boilers may be at an end of life and have to be done within 3 years, but Mr. Barber, for example, knows that we've had maintenance on those boilers and it can last another 7 years, for example. So we were able to work together and prioritize that list that was given to us and put it in a long-range facilities plan. So what do we need to accomplish and what do we need to get to right away within a capital project for maintenance? What can we push out for another 5 years and what can we push out for another 10 years? So the district prioritized those construction items. We reviewed and evaluated district programming needs. So with our leadership team, we looked at some of the programming needs that we were currently offering and what do we want to expand and what can we embed it into the capital project to continue to expand on some of the great instructional opportunities that we're providing to students. And you'll see that expressed in the capital project and some of the items that we chose to do as well too. Then we established our Board of Education financial parameters. So working with the Board of Education through multiple conversations, looking for that $21 million that we kind of identified as part of our budget hearing, we came to a parameter that the Board of Education was comfortable with of going out to the community with. So once they established that parameters, we were able then to get to work and to build our subcommittee to identify the overall scope. We then developed a new concept of using user groups to gain feedback on programming needs. So instead of having a top-down approach of saying, okay, in the library, this is what we want, we were really trying to elicit user group feedback. So working with our building principal, the librarian, and getting some more information of the people that use the space, giving us ideas of how they use it and their feedback so we can build the space that will meet our instructional needs not only for our students, but also for our faculty that will be using that. And you'll see that articulated in our science rooms as well too. From there, we then finalized our capital project scope with estimations from Buffalo Construction Consultants as well as Gordon Jones. So using those checks and balances of our architects and our construction management to make sure what we're going out with at the current time is feasible and responsible of what we can anticipate what the costs will be when we do go out if the community does approve it at that time. So our capital project scope looks at 3 items. Number 1, health and safety. So upgrades to our school environment that impact health and safety of the school community, so our students, faculty, and staff. Building maintenance, necessary repairs to the building plant identified through the building condition survey that I articulated before. And then district programming, improvements to the designated educational spaces identified by our district leadership team and stakeholders. So what are health and safety items that I'm articulating about? So number 1 is our fire alarm system upgrades. So our fire alarm systems are at their end of life. So looking at upgrading those systems in our elementary, middle school, and high school. If we don't do that, what could potentially happen is we have alarms going off and giving false alarms during the course of the day. And so we don't want that to happen, right? So all of our systems will be upgraded in all 3 buildings. ADA compliance in all of our buildings. So as part of the BCS program, it identifies where we need some upgrades. We have some wheel-bound children that are not only in our elementary school, but also in our middle school, and so they're progressing through. So we want to make sure that all of our educational spaces are accommodating those needs for those students, as well as for any community members or faculty that are entering our facilities. We want to make sure that we're ensuring that we're ADA compliant and can meet those individuals' needs to access our facilities. And then finally, redesigning of the existing elementary school parking lot, including a proposed designated bus area. So I'll be able to expand and show that. But where this came from is last year as part of our budget vote, we received a lot of feedback in regards to the surveys that we offered. And the number 1 indicator that people had some concerns about was the actual pickup and drop off at the elementary building. So we did listen to the feedback as part of the survey. We heard our community and we really wanted to address that of the safety and concerns, not only from the community, but also what we articulated and saw in my first year and a half of really trying to meet those needs of our community, get some of the buses and the traffic off the street, and really make sure that our students that are entering and our parents that are dropping their kids off are being able to do that in a safe location and in a safe designed area. So some of the building maintenance items that we're talking about as well too is construction of a new maintenance building at the middle school and high school campus. So this past year we did sell the Sheldon Elementary School building. With that being said, we store a lot of equipment, a lot of our trucks, a lot of our plow equipment when it's the springtime, all at Sheldon Elementary School. So we have a 5-year lease that will run out with the residents that have purchased that as part of selling the building. So we have to start planning of how are we going to store all that equipment back on site. So with that, we have a construction that is being proposed within this capital project for a new maintenance building at the middle school and high school campus. We have masonry construction repairs at all buildings. We're updating our exit lighting at all buildings. Our elementary elevator repairs are needed. Loading dock repair at the middle school, high school campus, and then window upgrades at the middle school, high school campus. It's been over almost 30 years that we have upgraded any of the windows within this facility. So not only are we looking to upgrade those, but we're also looking to how that can help with energy efficiency and looking at ways that we can continue to save with some of those changes. District programming, we're looking at to replace and relocate our elementary playgrounds, renovating our library media center, renovating and relocating our STEAM classroom, renovating their counseling office and converting to a counseling suite, renovating and relocating the nurse's office, reconstructing our high school science room in the middle and high school, renovating our girls and boys locker rooms in the middle school, and then upgrading our technology infrastructure. As I said before, we've become a one-to-one school in the past couple of years. So we really want to make sure that we're upgrading our cabling systems, that we are upgrading all of our servers, that we are coming compliant and making sure that if our students are using the devices that we're providing them, that they're using them at the top speed that they possibly can. So in order for us to do that, we need to make sure that we are taking care of all of our cabling, our wireless access points that you see in here as well too, and making sure that we have a state-of-the-art technology system, not only so that our speed and our internet are up to par with what we're servicing for our students, but also making sure that cybersecurity, for example, that we're taking care of trying to keep all mitigation factors of anybody trying to break into our network as well too. So with that, we do have our capital project website, which is located on our main webpage. If you do go to our capital project webpage, you'll be able to see everything that I kind of talked about of how we got here, our planning process. We have all the dates that we have articulated here. So we've been out into the community in Java, in Bennington, in the village, giving updates in regards to the capital project so that our community is aware of it. As you can see here, May 7th, this was our last opportunity to present to the board, to the actual community as well too, so that everybody is aware that this is a voting item and what is proposed as part of the scope as well too. Within the website, you'll also see there's an interactive map, and so I think this is just a great feature because if you as a district resident want to go on, you'll be able to click on any one of these items here, and it is interactive. So if you click on number 1 here, that is our playground that we're representing here. And ultimately, when you click on it, the rendering will show up, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're proposing to the community. So right here is a slideshow of the actual playground rendering. And Mrs. Matuszak did a wonderful job of working not only with our user groups and identifying this playground, but also making sure that it's age appropriate. So we do have a pre-K program that is also in our elementary school. So you'll see some of the materials that are articulated in this playground are not only for kindergarten through 4th graders, but also for our pre-K students. So we're really proud of that. We also do have some ADA compliance here items as well too, so students can actually participate in the playground with that may be wheelchair bound. Will have an opportunity to participate with their peers as well too. And so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Matuszak just so that she can talk a little bit about some of the items that you'll see here tonight.
Yeah, Dr. Illg did a great job explaining it. So ultimately, the only thing I just wanted to piggyback off on is the rationale for moving the existing playground is just to, in order for us to expand upon the parking situation to allow for a bus loop at the elementary school, we needed to take over the area where the current playground exists. We also, on an annual basis, have to have an insurance company come out and they walk the space, and then we get provided feedback regarding that. And our existing playground is in need of major repairs in order for kiddos to continue to be able to utilize that, especially in the future. So we were able to secure some federal grant funding to purchase all of the playground equipment that you see there. So within that capital project, the only component of this new playground that is going to actually come out of the capital project is just the site work associated with rebuilding the playground. All of the equipment has been secured through grant funding.
And so these are some of the renderings that you can see here. We also have some outdoor learning spaces. So in working with our user groups, one of the items that the user group recommended is just looking for an outdoor space that we can actually provide some instruction. So you'll see there are some shaded spaces there, and that really is for us to have an outdoor learning environment for our students as well too. And then right here you'll see this is an example of some of the pre-K items that we're able to provide as well too that we currently don't have in our playgrounds setting. So going back to the design, as I articulated before, if you click on each one of them, here's an example. You'll see number 2 is our actual library media center. So in looking with our user groups, we really wanted to articulate a great learning space, not only for reading, but creativity, right? We wanted our children to be able to go into a library, feel that it's a safe, whimsical location, that they can be creative when they're reading, that they can be able to learn. We also, you'll see there in the back end, is just some of the tables there. So I talked about in the budget of expanding our library curriculum as well too. So not only it's the literacy initiatives that we're expanding here as well too, but it's the digital literacy aspect. So being able to have a space where students can actually use devices, and then our librarian can start teaching them the skills that are necessary in order for them to be successful in operating some of these devices in a safe location as well too. You'll see the theme that we have here is a nature theme. We do have access for a little reading nook there where you see the tire swing there. And we really, like I said, wanted to make it a great location that our students can go in there, feel comfortable to read, have some different types of seating that you do not typically see in there as well too. If you go to our website as well too, within there you'll see the additional materials. You'll see before pictures, so we also do have pictures in there as well too of what our current library looks like. So you'll be able to justify and see a little bit of what we're currently offering and what we're proposing to offer.
No, the only thing I would expand upon that as well is just this is another area where all the furniture and new pieces of equipment and bookcases that you see embedded in this design were also secured through grant funding. So again, the construction and the construction and the updating of the space will be embedded into the capital project, but all of the equipment, materials, and things of that nature are secured through grant funding.
So going on to number 3, this is the relocation of our nurse's office. So I just want to point out here, so our current nurse's office is located at number 5. So where you see individuals that would enter our building, the majority of the time, if they have to pick up their child, right, that might be actually in the nurse's office, they have to actually enter the building and go into there. So thinking about health and safety of our students and access as well too into our elementary building and limiting the access of people going in, you'll see that we're relocating the nurse's office so that individuals that are coming to pick up their children, for example, that may be sick, will be able to enter through our double doors right there and immediately turn right into our nurse's office there. So they don't have to walk through the entire building to get to, obviously, the nurse's office. It's a way for us to limit the access, obviously, into our building of thinking about the safety of our children, but also making it more convenient to our parents as well, too, that you're able just to enter right away, meet with our nurse, be able to grab your child, and be able to exit as well, too. So as you can see here, this is just the architectural design. A little bit different than the renderings that you saw before for the library, but this is the design that we have proposed in front. So as you can see here, here are the double doors that you would enter. As soon as you enter the double doors, immediately you would turn right into the nurse's office here. The nurse would be able to greet you right from her desk area, and then go from there and be able to release the children, obviously, to their guardians at that point. You'll see we do have a new bathroom as well that is located in the drawing right here, as well as where the beds would be located for our students in case they're sick at that point. The great part of this as well too is not only do we have an entrance from the double doors here, but students will be able to enter from the hallway as well too. So there's 2 locations that individuals can enter obviously into the nurse's office if they're feeling ill that day as well too. So moving from the nurse's office to our new STEAM center. So once again, if you click on the button, so here is our rendering for our STEAM. So as I talked about, we're expanding on our elementary STEAM curriculum that we currently have. With that being said, we are looking at not only having our grow towers that are there, but also a green screen. So we had some 4th graders this past year that did a great presentation in regards to climate, and they were able to talk about weather, in which they provided an update on national parks. Right, so we're looking at different ways that we can continue to expand some of the curriculum of what we're offering our kids here. We have grow towers here, so our STEAM is not only science, technology, engineering, but we also want to look at the arts and agriculture. So we're cognizant of that within our community, and we want to make sure that we're highlighting the agricultural community within our education as well too. So we have grow towers that will be in here. A great component of here too is this is a planetarium actually. So what you see from here from the ceiling aspect is Mrs. Stenson does a wonderful job of implementing some NASA curriculum within her content for all of our students as well too. So when you turn the lights off here, this becomes more of a planetarium. So she has a curriculum and system that she's able to have stars, she's able to talk about the planets here, and we're able to expand on our children's education as well too, which we currently can't do given what our current STEAM room is. We have 3D printing here, as well as manipulatives that our students can use during the course of the day. So we have some project-based curriculum, as well as I mentioned before, some other curriculum that Mrs. Stenson's doing with our students. So we're really excited about this. We really got a majority of the ideas from Mrs. Stenson herself as part of the user group as Mrs. Bennett, and really took the feedback to build the program to make sure that it's what she was looking for, and as we continue to move forward, it's the vision of what our program is and curriculum is as well too. Going on to number 5, looking at our new conference room and family restroom. So this design is being able to, right now, with those rooms, we're taking over our new conference room where we have Healthy Kids for our after-school program. So not only being able to identify a location for our CSC meetings that are done during the course of the day in the elementary building, but also if our building principal or any of our teachers have meetings that are going on, being able to have a location for them to be able to go into and have some of those meetings. We also want to be able to offer a location for our before and after school. So right now we do partner with Healthy Kids, and they do use our conference room as well too. So we want to continue to make sure that we are providing a safe location for our after school programming. So we're looking to embed obviously a brand new conference room location there. Diving into our counseling suite. So right now, if you enter our elementary school, we have our school psychologist that is actually located on the 2nd floor, and we have our counselor that's located on the 1st floor. So with this new concept, we're looking to bring both those individuals into one suite together, so that if any students have any crisis that's going on, we're seeing obviously a lot of social emotional needs for some of our students. So we want to make sure that we have the individuals that are best suited to intervene and de-escalate those students and return them back to the instructional setting. So we're looking to bring our school psychologist and our counselor together in one area. And with that being said, so we would have a brand new counseling office as well as a brand new school psychologist office in this location. We're also looking at creating a brand new calming room. So any students that do have some escalated behaviors, we're providing a location in which they can go to de-escalate and help bring some of their behaviors back down, calming them down. So the calming room that we're creating is not only looking at some of those intervention techniques but strategies, but also providing that for them as well too, so that they have a safe space that they're able to de-escalate, so that we're able to then transition them back into the instructional classroom. And then the room that you see right here is another testing room. So we have a lot of testing that is done at our elementary school by outside providers. So we want to be able to provide an opportunity for some of those outside providers to come into the location and have a safe space where they're able to test some of our students in a private location, so that they're able then to articulate some of the test results and obviously share those with our director of special education or our committee of special education, as well as our building principal. And number 7, as I said before, is our proposed bus circulation. So I already had it up because it takes a while to load. So what you see in front of you right now is our current process. We had our architects come in the beginning of the school day with drop-off as well as during pickup. So what they were able to do is articulate patterns. So what you see here is just foot traffic patterns. So these are patterns that we have any pedestrian paths, whether they're parents or students. And as you can see, with our current situation, we have a lot of patterns that are going out and obviously not only into the front of the school with traffic that's trying to come through and pick up their children, but also within our parking lot as well too. We do have our buses that are articulated here that you can see that are outlined during the course of the dismissal day as well as when we drop off. So I think this is a great replication of what we actually transpired during the beginning of the day as well as at the end of the day. And I know Mrs. Kiel, for example, is out there in the morning and in the afternoon, so she sees this as well too. So this is the reality of what we're facing, right? And looking at how can we better design a parking lot with a bus loop in order to minimize, because we can never reduce all of them, but minimize obviously the risks that are associated with our pickup and drop off. And that's what we're proposing, right? We're proposing to mitigate and reduce some of those risks. So what has been proposed is obviously with the removal of the playground, we're able to expand our parking lot. With that being said, we're able to put a bus loop right in the front, okay? From that, we have now our buses that will be just similar to our secondary campus. They pull right in here. They're able to turn their wheels, so there's no backing up. They're able to turn their wheels and be able to exit in one fell swoop. From there, we're able then to control the traffic pattern and pedestrian here at this crosswalk. We'll have a crosswalk for our students as well as for our families, so they're able to transition through. As you can see, we will have a designated drop-off for families as well too, trying to reduce the amount of families that are able to park out front and are on the street. We're going to try to anticipate and communicate that we would like families to drop off here. So there will be a designated drop-off with obviously our teachers and staff welcoming our students in the morning here so that they're able to enter obviously right into our school building. This pattern as well too, as you can see that I'm articulating here, and can be exited, and then we would also have staff here that when our buses are able to leave, we can stop the traffic here, minimize obviously the traffic pattern that's coming through, the congestion that's coming through, and then our buses are able to exit in a timely manner, being able to go onto the street, so we're reducing traffic on the street there. And then at that point, once our buses are released, then we're able to then open the traffic pattern back up and release the cars back out. So it is, once again, reducing the risks that we're currently facing and obviously controlling the chaos, and that's what it is, controlling the organized chaos that we have for our pickup and drop-off. So we are super excited. We have heard our constituents, as I articulated before, and we think that this is the best path to move forward as well, too. And then the last piece, as part of our capital project that we wanted to articulate, is just the renderings for the high school science rooms. So if you click on number 8 here as well too, you'll see a rendering for, make sure I get the right one, sorry. It's going on my hand. So our high school science rooms. So we are looking to convert state-of-the-art science rooms here in the high school. And we've had a lot of communication, not only with our user groups, but we really wanted to articulate bringing not only the lab components into our secondary campus, but also make sure that it's a lab and lecture, right? So that's where you see the lecture aspect here with the seating here, with the lab equipment in one classroom, so that we don't have to have our students transitioning into a separate lab. They're able to have their lecture and then be able to go to the same room and actually have their lab there. We're also super excited with the lab that you see here. So this is the state-of-the-art lab equipment. So we have reached out to the University of Buffalo as well as some other colleges and said, what lab equipment are you currently offering that are in higher education? Because we want to try to mimic that so that any of our students that are going on to higher education, they're able to use the lab equipment that they currently have at Attica Central School District that will transition to them into the higher education as well too. We are also purposeful in reaching out to also some of the food plants, because as it was brought up as part of our capital project committee, it's not only higher education that have labs, it's also some of these food plants that have labs. So we've also reached out to some of the local vendors of saying, what lab equipment do you have that you're also using in some of the in some of the food plants that our students, if they go into their workforce, would be able to use right away too. So we're looking at taking both of those concepts and implementing them into these designs. So we're being purposeful, we're being future thinking in regards to the capital project and trying to meet the needs of not only our career path students, but also those that are looking to go to college and that are college ready as well too. So we're super excited about what we're proposing to the community, and we believe that we're being purposeful in what we're presenting as well too. So with that being said, that's the scope of our capital project. The total cost, as we articulated before, is $21,074,000. With that being said, we're using our capital reserve usage of approximately $4,944,000. With that being said, the district's building aid ratio is 83.7%. There is a 0% tax impact for the local community. Anything you'd like to add, Mrs. Matuszak, on that aspect of monies? Okay. She does a wonderful job of just articulating and reminding us that really the capital reserve usage is almost like the reserve fund that we can only specifically use for capital improvement projects, right? So that $4.9 million, we can't go and use for any of our programming, for example, for our teachers, right? We can only use that money that's within that reserve only to offset the costs that are associated with a capital project. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that as well too.
Does any money come out of our budget for this capital project?
No,
$0 comes out of our main budget.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as we articulated, any other questions? Scope, finances?
I just had a particular question about like what the base of the playground was gonna be, like whether it's wood chips or I don't even know what types of bases there are now for playgrounds, but just what would be at the bottom underneath everything?
Yes, so we, after the vote, we have already started discussing different base options. We have not solidified which one we're gonna go forward with. As we progress further into the design phase, we'll start having our construction management firm provide us with cost estimates for the different bases. And from there, we'll make a determination. Ultimately, we wanna get the best base that we can get, but it's all going to come down to financing and funding. So worst case scenario, we'll have wood chips. Best case scenario, we are looking at some of that rubber matting. If it's not something that we can get through this capital project, it would be something that we would take a look at putting in further down the line.
Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, that is it for our budget hearing and capital project presentation. Mr. Day, would you like to say any words? Give you the opportunity, being the only candidate here.
Please come out and vote Tuesday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
And if you have any questions that day, I will be there from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. as well too. So be excited to see any of our constituents as well too there. So thank you so much for attending tonight.